Hi, everybody. Welcome back to today's Lunch and Learn. And if you can't guess already, we are here in the beaches. So before I talk about boundaries, let's just discuss the controversy. Is it the beaches or is it the beach? Well, in 1985, the city of Toronto, they installed 14 street signs with the heading, "The Beaches." And there was a big kerfuffle about it. Some of the residents really were offended. And what happened is not too long after, they removed it. So to this day, I don't know what the answer really was. So really, I'll call it whatever you want. You can call it the beach. You can call it the beaches. Everybody knows where you're talking about. Anyways, boundaries. East, which is behind there, Vic Park. To the west, I call it where Queen Street meets Kingston Road. The south is the lake, and the north is Kingston Road. Above Kingston Road, it's the upper beaches, which is a beautiful neighborhood, but not quite the beach. And one last, just past Vic Park, Blantyre, Courcelette, Fallingbrook. It's technically not the beaches. They call it Fallingbrook. So the history here at the beach, originally the area was mostly forest and swampland, and it was dotted with a few houses. In the early 1900s, the Toronto Harbor Commission, they expropriated the shoreline and Kew Gardens. And by the 1930s, they enlarged the beach. And in 1932, they opened the boardwalk. Cool little tidbit that I didn't even know until I started researching. The neighborhood was site to several amusement parks. Victoria Park between 1878 and 1906. Monroe Park between 1896 and 1906. Scarborough Beach Park, 1907 to probably the late 20s. And today, their namesakes, as we all know, they remain as street names. So beginning in the 1890s, there was a ferry service too. It was called the Victoria Park Ferry, and it ran from the Yonge Street, and it ended just after the parks closed. There was also a streetcar, and there still is that streetcar service on Queen Street. Anyways, back to the beaches themselves. Although it's one continuous long beach, it's broken up into four names. We'll start at Ashbridges Bay, the Western Beach. You have Woodbine Beach to start, then Kew Beach, Scarborough Beach, and the last is Balmy Beach, which ends at the R.C. Harris Water Treatment Plant, which we are standing in front of, a beautiful piece of architecture. And it was also the site of that Victoria Park amusement park that I mentioned earlier. So the heart of the commercial district really runs along Queen Street. And for the most part, it's characterized by mostly independent specialty stores. And they've really avoided the big box store and the chain store in the neighborhood. The beach is really a family neighborhood. And like any neighborhood in a major city, it's far from homogenous. So if you'd say Queen Street West is a young, happening bohemian strip, I would say Queen East here in the beach is more home to couples, families, and generally settled in folk. Now, if you walk through any of the side streets, you'll confirm it's really more of a family neighborhood. And you're really more likely to run into people with strollers and walking dogs than, let's say, groups of young people. All right, let's go. There's lots of great restaurants here. Let's go check one out. Okay, we're here at the beach, and we're at a brunch place called Tiaras. Brunch is really, really easy, you would think. What can I say? The presentation was good, but if you want me to, I think this could be my first, not so good rating because, you asked for the eggs to be runny, and they're solid. The French toast is cold. It took a long time to serve. The people are nice, but I'd probably not come back here and pass on this. Sorry. Beauty. All right. Housing in the neighborhood. There are photos of wood frame cottages that date back to the 1870s. This one here behind me, it's been refaced, but maybe it could have been one of them, but that is one of the older homes. And they were summer homes away from home, kind of like cottages today on Lake Simcoe. So construction, it started on a small scale through the late 1800s and into the early 1900s. And pre-1900, most of the residents were what they called at the time upper class. But by 1907, 75% of the residents, middle and working class, and construction really, really started to ramp up. From the 19-teens into the 30s, that's when really the majority of the construction happened in the neighborhood. There's lots of overlap in design styles as well. So the beaches, they're peppered with Victorian homes, Edwardian homes, some really beautiful arts and crafts. And as you can see behind me, now some of the newer stuff. So prices. It really depends where you are in the beach. That really has a big bearing on where your price point is. Some close to the lake, close to Queen Street, near the ravines, closer to Kingston Road. Again, a big variation. But here you go. Detached, 1.3 million on the low end and probably about 4.5 million on the upper end. The majority, though, are like high teens to high 2 million. Semis, 1.2 to 2.9. Again, the majority, 1.3 to 2 million. Row houses, there aren't really tons, but again, 1.1 to 2.7, and the majority are 1.2 to 1.8. And condos. Yes, there are condos in the neighborhood. I'm actually standing in front of a couple of low-rise buildings just across from Ashbridges Bay, by the way. Mostly newer buildings, and there are a few older ones as well. One bedrooms, 5 to 900,000, again, size dependent. Two bedrooms, smaller, 750,000, up to 2 million for a larger, close to the beach. But the majority are 1 to 1.3. And there are even a few condo towns that are between 1 million and I'll say 1.7 million. Anyways, I love doing these videos. Like, share, call me. We'll talk soon.